Today we start a new series, the Joseph Project. You know, in the Bible, there are people that have mighty personalities, and they occupy a long portion of the Bible, like Abraham, like Moses, like Joseph, the son of Israel, and there are also women that occupy important places. But there are some that seemingly play the second fiddle. You hardly see them mentioned. Does it mean that they are not important? No, they may be very important, but it's also teaching us that God values the background and those little people that the world wouldn't look at as very important, as pivotal, but actually for God they are. It's like the mother of Moses is just mentioned briefly, but she had a central place in the story. Because if she had not kept her child very well, he would have been killed along with all the babies that were thrown into the Nile at the time. So one of those second fiddle people, seemingly second fiddle, was Joseph, the husband to Mary, Jesus' mother. I remember when I was in school, when I was small, I used to write on my notebooks in secondary school, at the top of every page, Jesus, Mary, Joseph. I don't know why I did that, but certainly it had occurred to me that that little family was very important. In my grandma's place, there was no Christmas tree, but every Christmas they had a little nativity with Mary, Joseph, the child Jesus, the shepherds, the magi, and then the little sheep around. And I used to look at it, and I valued that reappearance, yearly reappearance of that reminder. Now, Joseph was from the line of David, and he knew, of course, as a devout Hebrew, that his line would produce the Messiah. But he had absolutely no idea about what was going to happen to him. And then he got engaged to Mary, and probably they got engaged like many people, like it was the tradition at the time, during somebody's wedding. That's the time the young couples met and, paired. So he got engaged to Mary, and they were planning to get married. And obviously, they had no intercourse, because that was against the belief at that time. And it was very strict. Everybody was watching everybody. And then one day, he didn't meet the angel. The angel went to Mary. And probably the reason was that Mary needed to say yes to God. The angel could not have gone to Joseph to tell something like that, the story. He went to Mary, and that was the way God does. You see that God values women, very much contrary to some other, faith that present gods that disregard women. You remember that in the Old Testament, Samson's mother got a visit from the angel who told her, you are going to be pregnant and you will have a son, and he gave instructions. So she went to the husband and said, hey, an angel visited me. And the man said, okay, if he comes again, tell me. And then the angel came again. And then she called the husband, and two of them now had a discussion with the angel. So Mary was visited by the angel, who told her, you are favored by God, and God has chosen you. You are going to be pregnant, you will have a son and you will call him Jesus. He gave her instructions. And then she asked the all-important question, how will this happen? She was not a stupid lady, you know. She might have been just a teenager, but she knew how babies were produced. So she said, it's impossible. I've not slept with my betrothed. And the angel said, no, you don't need. The Holy Spirit will come over to you and you will be okay, you know. And he gave her a clue. He said, to tell you that this is the truth. See what happened to your cousin, you know, Elizabeth, that had been barren all her life. She is now pregnant, 6 months pregnant. So Mary said yes to the angel. And then she visited Elizabeth. And the reaction, the immediate reaction of Elizabeth before ever Mary mentioned the visit of the angel was to recognize that Mary was pregnant with the Holy Son of God. So Mary knew that this was a truth, not something she had dreamt. And she stayed 3 months there. Now just imagine the situation. 3 months, her tummy was started growing just a bit by the time she returned. And you know how pregnant women look. She was different. By the time she came back, everybody knew that she was pregnant. You know, she had, her physical body seemed different. Her mother, of course, became very aware. And then she met Joseph, and it's not recorded for us what they said, but obviously she had to tell him, I'm pregnant, an angel visited me. I'm sure she told him the whole thing, but probably, most probably, it didn't go well with Joseph. He doubted. He was so sure of her. He trusted her with his whole life. But now, she was pregnant and he knew that he was not the father. How would he, do? And the first thing we want to look at is the reaction of Joseph. He was concerned. He didn't see any future now in his marriage, but he really cared for Mary. So he decided to break his engagement discreetly. He didn't want to make a fuss. He didn't want to announce it because he knew that if he did, she would most probably be in mortal danger from the society that applied the law. And he didn't flare up, he didn't take a rash decision, he didn't go out shouting, or he just went to think about it. It is recorded that he was thinking about it. He was reflecting how to do it, when to do it, and probably still wondering who will be the father, because Mary must have told him, this is what the angel said, and she didn't know better. She had never met a man. She had never removed her clothes for a man. So we learn from Joseph that whatever the decisions we have to make, we have to think, we have to mull it over, we have to reflect and look at all the angles and ask God for his guidance. He must have prayed about it because God answered his prayer, and we're going to see that next time. So respect Joseph more now. See, he could have been completely different. If he had made a fuss, the thing would have ended very differently, and the devil, I'm sure, was just rejoicing. Yeah, this thing will be just nit in the bud, finished. No Jesus. But because of the way Joseph reacted, because he took time to ask God, the story went completely different. See you next time.